computer science, an array data structure, or simplify, an array is a data structure consisting of collection of elements, each identified by at least one array index or key. An array is stored such as that the position of each element can be computed from its index sampled by a mathematical formula. An array is the data structure that contains a group of elements. Typically, these elements are all the same data type, such as integer or string. Arrays are commonly used in computer programs to organize data so that a related set of values can be easily sorted or researched. There are different types of array: index array, multidimensional array, and associative arrays. First, creating index array. A store or series of one or more values. You can look up items by their position in the array, which you might have done in earlier section. The first index is always number 0, and the index increments by 1 for each subsequent element that you add to the array. Second, creating multidimensional array. In ActionScript, you can implement an array as nested array that you are essential arrays of arrays. Nested arrays, also known as multidimensional arrays, are very similar to matrices or grids. When you're programming, you might use multidimensional array models. This kind of structure, a chessboard for example, is a grid of 8 columns and rows. You could use the chessboard as model of an array that contains 8 elements, each of which is also an array that contains 8 elements. Third, creating associative array. An associative array, which is like an object, is made of unordered keys of and values. Associative arrays use keys instead of numeric index to organize store values. Each key is unique string and its associated which and used to access one value. That value can be the data type such as number, array, object, and so on. An array variable must be declared during being used in program. The declaration must have a data type, variable name as subscript. The subscript represents the size of the array. An array can be any type of, for example, int, chart, float, etc. The number of subscript or index determines the dimension of the array. An array of one dimensional is known as dimensional array or 1D array. A one-dimensional array is a type of linear assessing its elements involve a single subscript which can either represent a row or a column index. As an example, consider the C declaration, a one-dimensional array of 10 integers. A 2D array is a type as int or string, which two pairs of square brackets. The elements of 2D array are arranged in rows and columns, and the new operator of 2D arrays specify both the number of rows and the number of columns. To declare a 2D array, use following syntax: type of array name XY. The type must be a valid C++ data type. For example, to simplicity initialize a three-dimensional array, we'll need three nested for loops. The basic form of declaring a multidimensional array of size xy, we can declare a two-dimensional integer array, say x of size 10, 20. The total number of elements can be stored in multidimensional array calculated by multiplying the size of all dimensions. We can initialize a 3D array similar to the 2D array. The initializer for an array is a comma, separate list of constant expression in closed braces. If an array is partially initialized, elements that are not initialized receive the value of 0 of the appropriate type. The same applies element of array with static storage duration. On the other hand, to initialize a 2D array, you just need two nested for loops, and a two-dimensional array like int numbers is equal to new int. There are three rows and two columns. You can also visualize it like three integer array of length 2. C program to insert an element in an array. For example, consider an array of 10 having three elements in it initially, and a 0 is equals to 1, a 1 is equals to 2, and 2 is equals to 3. And you want to insert a number 45 at location 1, i.e. a 0 is equals to 45. So we can move element one step below. So after insertion, a 1 is equals to 1, which has a 0 initially, and a 2 is equals to 2, and a 3 is equals to 3. Array insertion does not mean increasing its size. Array will not contain 11 elements. Let you understand that how to print an array in C, we need to declare and define one array and then loop up to the length of array. At each iteration, we shall print one index of value array. We can take this index value from the iteration itself.